When you think about all the people that are on your team, all of the volunteers that it takes to make Sunday happen, who would you describe as the artists? You probably think about your musicians and your singers and all the people that are on the stage. They're the creative ones, right? But your production team are artists too. And I would even go as far as to say that if those that are running sound and lights and cameras don't view themselves as artists, that's a problem. To answer the question of why this is, we need to get on a Zoom call with a friend of mine named Todd Elliott. Hi, I'm Dave Dolphin at practicalworshipblog.com, sharing ideas, tips, and practical advice for the worship leader that has to do it all. If you're trying to figure out how to do all the little extra things that comes along with leading a worship ministry, hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell right next to it, and we'll be here to help every week. So I want to introduce you to a friend of mine named Todd Elliott. He's been the technical arts director at Willow Creek in the Chicago area and now runs the FILO conference, which is a fantastic church conference that is specifically geared to those that do production in the local church. He recently wrote a book called I Love Jesus, But I Hate Christmas. And one of the aspects that he talks about in the book is this idea of helping your technical volunteers not just see themselves as merely button pushers and just waiting for something to happen on the stage and then them reacting to it, but instead seeing what they do as artists themselves, just like what they see on the stage.
So when did you realize that you were an artist too, that it wasn't just the people on the stage that were the artists, but like you at a desk with knobs and all that, you were an artist too?
Yeah, I mean, I think the realization was that I was in a meeting where we were talking about what matters to us as a team, what are we about, and my perspective was very much like, well, I'm here to serve somebody else. I'm here to support someone else's ministry. And some people on my team were challenging me saying, hey, we have a ministry too. What we do is art, just like what they do is art. And it was kind of several months of kind of arguing with each other about what are we really about. And that whole thing sort of tipped me from, just being somebody who serves other people doing ministry to, hey, I'm a minister too. What we bring to the table has the potential to make what we're all doing better. And, somewhere along the way, I looked up the definition of artist, and it's basically somebody that does something really well with excellence. And so that takes it out of the realm of singer, musician, dancer, actor, painter, the traditional ways we think about art, to, hey, if I'm really good at mixing audio, I've got a great ear, I understand the skills, like I can be an artist there. I know some friends that are really good at soldering cables. They're artists when it comes to that. I could not ever do that. I stink at it. But some people, that's their art form, to be able to solder cables really well. So it just opened up my mind to the idea that, hey, we're all artists serving together to create something together.
And so when you realized this, like, how did that change how you approach your tech position? When you woke up the next day and said, okay, I'm an artist too, when you were at the knobs or at the faders or whatever it is that you were doing, did you notice a change?
It was probably over some time, but I think one of the big moments for me was I was the technical director of a particular service at our church. And so somebody, volunteer on audio, volunteer on lighting, somebody doing the graphics. There was somebody mixing the video shots. And in the service, I was watching things change together, like the graphics and lighting changed at the same time to complementary colors. And the on stage, we had a choir plus a rock band. And if you're an audio person, that's an impossible situation. Well, I could hear everything. It sounded amazing. And in that moment, I just realized that here are artists on the production team with the artists who are on stage, and without each other, this moment could not happen. That the artistry that each of us brings, the ability to, turn the knob at just the right moment, to push that fader, to switch to this camera, to put that graphic up, that all of those things all those art forms are adding to each other with the musicians and the vocalists on stage to make something that none of us could make together. And I think that was kind of the big moment for me. If I think of myself as an artist with what I do, I know that I'm bringing that art form to the team and we're collaborating together to make something together. If all I think of myself as a button pusher, I'm passively sitting there until you do something and then I'm pushing the buttons. And for me, I don't think that's the way God intended the body of Christ to work. And yeah, I would much rather have somebody who's engaged, bringing their full self to the team, whether they're a lighting person or a stage manager or a video director, than just sitting back and sort of responding to what's happening. But instead, they're a part of the process, that we're a part of creating something and brainstorming together. How can production make what we're trying to do more effective? And if all I'm doing is sitting back, passively pushing buttons, then that's never going to happen.
What advice do you have for maybe a worship pastor, someone that's on staff that is leading not only the music team, and it's easy to see them as artists, but also they're in charge of a bunch of people running production, whether that's audio or lights or running a camera, who might think a little bit differently, and they're still trying to wrap their head around like, okay, I can kind of relate a little bit more with the guy playing drums or playing guitar because I is one of them, but I've got these people that are running tech and they're into Star Trek and they wear black and they're just different, but I want to be able to lead them well and to be able to help them to see that, okay, what they bring to the table is artistry as well. How would you encourage a leader to lead an entire team, both music and production?
Yeah, I mean, I would say just even asking yourself the question, or thinking of your team as artists, like just even with that statement, okay, everybody on my team is an artist of something. I think it changes the dynamic of what the possibilities are. If I think of that awkward teenage tech person that sits in the booth as an artist, now I'm starting to think, what are they an artist of? What is the thing they bring uniquely to the table that nobody else can do that's going to help make our services better? Instead of, I think how a lot of times we think about tech people as they're an awkward teenager and they're not really following the directions right, or they're hard to talk to. It's more of a logistical thing that we start thinking of them in terms of, versus what is this person uniquely gifted to do and how can we leverage that for our church's benefit? And I think too, it's a lot of times in our churches, the obvious place for a tech person to serve is at front of house because we don't maybe have too many other positions, or pro presenter or whatever. And so a lot of times we get people serving in those areas that maybe shouldn't be. They're not artists of that area. And so even thinking about, okay, if this person isn't fitting, where could they fit? What is their art form? And really helping your team figure out what they're good at and how they can bring their gift for the common good, which is something that Paul tells us in 1 Corinthians 12 when he's talking about the body of Christ, that each of our gifts is for the common good. And so how can, determining who's doing what and who can do what better and finding those spots for people to serve where their art form can really shine.
Now, Todd has this book that launched this week that not only talks about the idea of production people as artists, but also doing production ministry with excellence, working well together with the creatives that are on the stage and leading a team of people that is your production ministry. If you do production in the local church or you lead people that do, I want to encourage you to check out this book. It's really, really helpful. Lots of great insights that are in this book that Todd brings to the table. I'll put a link to it in the description down below. If you want to see what my experience was like at the FILO conference in 2019, check out that video right there. This one is pretty good as well. You get to choose whatever video is next, whatever you choose. I'll see you in the next one.